This Week in 40K.
Woo! Welcome to This Week in 40K. I am so damn hyped, Billy. I am almost not able to sleep hype. That is almost where we're at. It's been midnight to about midnight 45 has been read data sheets on my phone time the past few days. Oh, we might be losing Billy. Are you there, Billy?
Yeah, I'm still here. Can you not hear me?
I can hear you now.
I'm going to rejoin on my phone.
Okay. Welcome to This Week in 40K, everybody. This is a weird one for This Week in 40K. We have a framework that we follow, where we do the news, or rather we talk a little bit, and then we do the top story, and then we do the news, and then after we do the news, we cover what's going on in tournaments. Here's the problem with all of that. First of all, we're getting a ridiculous amount of news. Second of all, there are no tournaments that I want to talk about or that Billy wants to talk about. That's just not a thing. So, So what we're going to do instead is we're just going to talk about 10th edition. I think Billy got some questions sourced from the audience. Did you not, Billy?
I asked for some. Our loyal viewers in the Discord could have done better work. We got one, and it's part of a conversation I think is worth having, but we'll get to it.
Okay, cool. How are you doing, Billy, other than having to be on your phone again?
I am doing wonderfully. I actually just signed a lease for a new rental place that starts, well, the lease starts today, but we're going to move in about a month. But I am upgrading from an 1,100 square foot apartment to a 2,300 square foot house for much more money.
For much more money, is that what you said?
No, for 100% more square footage for 15% more rent.
Nice. So you're moving farther from the city center then.
I'm moving farther from the city center, but I'm actually moving to within about a 7-minute drive of one of the game stores that host tournaments around here and near other people who play 40K. So I am upgrading my ability to provide interesting and insightful comment on this year's show as a result of this move.
Okay. That's great. You know, everybody, you always got to pay attention to how close to the local game store you are.
Yes.
Do they have tournaments? How far away are they? Do they keep good inventory?
I actually TO the tournaments with some regularity at this store. We're hosting one on the 25th, so 10th edition release RTT.
Okay. Yeah, I think out here, the Lion Guard Gaming over in Aberdeen, where we do a lot of tournaments, they're doing a GT on launch weekend.
Oh, wow.
And summary, that won't be a balanced tournament. And with that, let's go to our top story.
Okay.
Uh-oh, the button's not working, everybody. Technical problems.
Our top story.
Billy, what's our top story?
There are many top stories, but to your point of release weekend, we're getting many more indexes, and we're starting to see the things that, might have slipped through the cracks. There are some ways to do like 90 mortal wounds in a turn, or 55 wounds on the hit roll. There's some points on how the terrain rules are worded that lead to really ridiculous outcomes that need to be fixed. I want to say ahead of this, every single one of these, let's wait for the designer commentary to come out, because GW has been very consistent in replying, wait for the designer commentary to come out. We're still going to speculate unreasonably because it's fun. But I have in the back of my mind that enough things have been done right in terms of what I've seen in this edition that I trust that they're not going to stumble at the 1 yard line.
Well, I think some things are a deliberate design choice that people are missing. First of all, take a moment and think about 40K. And think about Games Workshop and answer honestly. Are damage reduction special abilities going to reduce 1 damage attacks to 0?
Right.
Just think about that for a moment. Is that what's going to happen?
Right.
My view, absolutely 100%, absolutely not. It is game wrecking. And I think GW knows that. I've made parallels to Marvel Crisis Protocol before, which is a great tabletop game. They have 3 different kinds of damage reduction. Damage reduction you have to pay for, minimum 1. Damage reduction automatic, minimum 1. And then damage reduction can go to 0.
Mm.
And their can go to 0 are on the really crazy powerful characters like Thanos.
Yeah.
So they get it.
Yeah.
And in that game, you're very unlikely to shoot someone for 1. So it's not nearly as big of a deal.
Right.
In 40K, I would say, without looking at all the weapon profiles, I would say that more than 50% of the guns in the game are 1 damage.
Yeah.
So how can we possibly have a game where that goes to 0? So here's another possible outcome. If that rule, that damage reduction rule, is written in 30 places, which easily could be. We've seen it in Billy? 9 places already in just what they previewed.
Yeah, and we're at a third of the total codices if you count today with Chaos, which I didn't read all of.
No, I mean, I haven't even opened the Chaos.
I have some thoughts, but yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about it. I mean, we got all types of time here, Billy.
Mm-hmm.
So my point is, it is more efficient to not put that line on every single occurrence of that rule.
Yep.
That is better. It is better for readability. It is better for the actual look of the thing that they're giving you. You guys might not think this matters, but I promise that GW looks at a data card and decides if it looks good. Not what do the words say. They're going to look if it's formatted well. And anywhere they can cut text out to make it easier to read, they should.
Yeah.
So I think what's going to happen is that the designer commentary is going to come out on day 1, which, by the way, guys, I know that lots of us are going to play 40K this weekend. Hold on. The designer commentary will probably not be till the actual release, which is a full week later.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a week of people overreacting on the internet. That's okay. Every week is the week where people overreact on the internet. So it's not new or different. So yeah, it's stuff like that, right? Like there's this need for designer commentary. And if you guys would like to hear more about how to remain hype and not worry, and how to play games against your friends that don't use the abusive stuff, like how to make the next week and a half valuable for you, we did a whole episode of Best in Faction on that.
Yeah.
We did it on Sunday. We released it on Monday to the podcast stream. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it wherever you find your podcasts. It was really good. I don't, Billy, I don't always say that. I don't always say we made a thing and it's great. I always like the things that we make. This is, 43-year-old Colin who's been gaming since he was 10. This is 47-year-old Chuck who's been playing at 46. I don't know. I'm sorry, Chuck. I don't know. Slightly older than me. I think he's 45, 46. Slightly older than me, Chuck, who's been playing 40K without a break since 2nd edition. Okay. Mitch, who's been playing without a break since 7th edition. These are people that know about game releases, and we spend an hour and a half talking about how to learn, how to teach your friends, how to approach it, how to play in a way that's helpful without just leaning all the abusive stuff. So go take a listen to that. We're very proud of it. I really like you guys to enjoy that and let me know what you think. So, yeah. So I think people need to calm down.
Yeah.
I think that's, if I were writing the top story for the show, which, by the way, let you guys behind the curtain, I don't ever write the top story for the show. Billy writes it. I look at the notes, then I go to sleep, then I wake up, don't remember the notes, and I ask Billy what the top story is. That's our system.
We have a process.
It's a process, yeah. Turns out, if Colin reads something at 11 o'clock at night and then wakes up at 6 o'clock in the morning, the thing he read at 11 o'clock at night is not front of mind. Oh, there's a baby head. Hi, baby head.
Hi, baby. It's there, baby. Hello.
Oh, that baby doesn't look happy.
She can't figure out what she wants, so.
In fairness, if you wake me up at 7 o'clock in the morning and someone shoves food into my mouth, I'm also not going to be happy.
Counterpoint. I would love it if someone just made me all of my food, wiped my ass, put my clothes on my body. But, these are the words of a tired father of a 2-month-old.
Meet Billy Jetson?
Sorry, what?
I said, meet Billy Jetson?
Yeah, seriously.
I don't want any robot wiping my butt. I just want to separate myself from Billy on this topic. Should Elon Musk be listening and he's working in his evil scientist lab? I don't actually, he's not really a scientist. But anyways, let's not get political. Let's move on. So Beehype.
Yes.
The rumor is that there is a massive designer commentary launching at day one that explains lots of this. In the meantime, we here at Best in Tabletop, which we try to be the Good Person Network. We encourage you to be a good person with your friends. If something seems wrong, don't do it. Yeah. Wait till the designer commentary comes out and then do it, if it still exists. Go ahead, Bill. Let me say one more thing. It will be better for you to lose your arm. It'll be better for you to learn your army with the non-broken stuff than the broken stuff. You can always add the broken stuff in later. Yeah. Always can. But start with the fundamentals. Start with learning 10th edition. Start with the game. Start with the rules. I'm telling you guys, it'll be a better experience. Billy, what you got?
Basically was going to make that point and add this one bit. One of the best pieces of advice I ever got in terms of evaluating Games Workshop written rules is if there's a weaker interpretation of that rule, assume that's how it's going to work its way out and play it that way. Mm-hmm. And it leads to better evaluation because 95% of the time it ends up that way. Right. And then in the 5% where it doesn't, they change their mind in about 2 or 3 weeks when they realize, oh, dear God, this army is doing 90 mortal wounds a turn to infantry.
Right. And if things like points are wrong, I bet they'll be fixed very quickly.
Yeah. That's the other thing. We don't know points.
Yeah, we don't know points. But if they're wrong, and they will be, there's going to be at least one unit in an army where you're like, whoa, what? This is a lot of content that they've created. They said it's 2,000 data sheets.
Yeah.
They're going to miss points somewhere. So here's my great example of how not to practice. Don't put 9D cannons on the table. It's not cute. It's not funny. And you don't need to practice with it because that's how powerful it is.
Well, it'll just be a really boring game. You'll roll dice for one turn. Your opponent will pick up their army and you'll re-rack and you'll play again.
Yeah. And similarly, is it really there is a combo in the strats that people are debating whether it works or not, but I unfortunately think it does, where you can give 6 different units of Death Watch anti-infantry 2+ on the same turn.
Right.
And there's an argument about whether it's 5 or 6, right? Right, Billy, that's literally what we were debating. Is it 5 or is it 6? And it doesn't matter. That is simply cannot possibly be rules as intended. It can't be that someone was designing Death Watch and they're like, what if they did 80 mortal wounds in a turn?
Because they get devastating wounds too, right? It's not just anti, it's anti plus devastating.
Yeah, and one of the core rule issues is that anti makes crits on the roll. So if you have anti-psyker 2-up, that means that 2-up is a crit, not a success.
Right.
And I don't like that. I think that's really bad design, by the way.
Yeah. Well, because the only reason it matters is for devastating wounds. As far as we've seen, because crit hits can either be sustained or recovered. Right. And that matters. But crit wounds can, as far as I can tell thus far, only lead to devastating wounds.
Yeah.
And devastating wounds are going to, I think they're an interesting design choice that leads to possibly interesting things. Thus far, all of the most problematic things I think we've seen in 10th, from what we can tell, surround devastating wounds.
Yeah. I think that's fair. If I was ranking the things that are bad rules from what we're seeing so far, I'd put devastating wounds very high on the list. Yeah. I'm concerned about rapid ingress. I'm really concerned about it. I think rapid ingress requires multi-level screening. In the past, the game has required multi-level screening, and people are really bad at it. And just the average player is going to take a very long time to learn that. And in the meantime, good players are going to wreck them. That's my concern, much like player place terrain, which is very much a win harder button for the really veteran players against the average player. 40K is more fun if the veteran player has to try in the game against the average player.
Yeah.
That's a better thing. So rapid ingress, devastating wounds. I had a third that I was going to say, a third concern.
How good indirect fire is?
What's that?
How good indirect fire is.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yes. Colin doesn't like indirect fire.
I think it might be worthwhile for us to bring on Hank to be the lone counterpoint to this argument that I've seen anyone express. And it's a logically consistent argument that it enforces more accurate to World War II era military technology army construction. And that is an internally logical argument. And if that is where your fun is, then it's good. I agree. When in direct fire is one of the best ways to play the game, it invalidates so many other parts of the game that I'm with you. Now, are the armies that I'm building involving really good indirect? Yes, because I also care about winning. But
yeah, the real core issue here is that there's a lot of armies that don't have an answered indirect. Unless they make transports universally inexpensive, which I can't imagine them doing, but maybe they will, then it's going to be very hard to do a mechanized. Craft World Eldar is usually a great example of this. Unfortunately, people hate Craft World Eldar and are currently mad at them. But Craft World Eldar is a great example of this because Wave Serpents are usually expensive. They're usually over 150 rather than under 150 at any one particular time. And so the idea that you're going to start with a bunch of T3 units in hiding and a 10-man Desolation Marine squad with full rerolls on hits and wounds is going to pick your unit up, that feels real bad.
Yeah.
Because they can go first, because you might not have been able to do anything with that unit. It's going to feel really bad. We've talked before about D-cannons are indirect and they're wildly not okay, but basilisks are indirect and they can just kill the D-cannons. So, there's a lot going on here. Thunderfire cannons also seem dumb.
Yeah.
Whirlwinds seem good. Lots of indirect fire. They're like, yeah, you get -1 to shoot, and then they're like, here's all these +1 to hits and rerolls you can give your indirect fire, and it's like, what? So
okay.
Those are my concerns.
Can I riff on that for one more thing? Because one of the few things I read in the Chaos book, just because it's sort of a meme on this channel, is Obliterators. Obliterators can, once a game, indirect fire their guns.
Oh, good Lord.
And so I'm looking forward to Chuck's game against you, where he brings the 9 of them and pops them down next to Abaddon, where they have full hit rerolls. And all of the other cascading stuff you can put on them, and just picks up a lot of stuff within 24 inches. Or nothing, because he rolls 1s on all of his number of shots, but that's, Obliterators.
Chuck might not even be awake yet, but I just sent him a message on Discord that says, indirect Obliterators equals lol.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Because every new time there's new rules. Codex, points, whatever. Chuck comes over and puts Obliterators on the table. And I make fun of them because they've been bad forever.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they'll be good. Maybe they won't be 90 points a model or whatever they were in the last edition.
Yeah.
Maybe not. So I think that it's important to understand that I have those grievances. We had a section, in fact, on Best in Faction where we did an airing of grievances. It was Festivus in June. The reality is I'm concerned about all of these things. I also hate the format of these PDFs.
The ordering of the PDF.
No, format.
Oh, okay. Tell me more about the format.
They're also hard to print.
Okay, I haven't tried.
That's what they're designed for.
Yeah.
According to my friend that does production for marketing things, that's a terrible way of describing what he does, but he knows all about these things. They're called full bleed, and that the picture goes to the edge of the dock.
Mm-hmm.
Normal home printers don't do that, so you either have to reformat it. You have to format it before you can print it, or you have to, or every single one will be printed out with a white border around it that you'll probably want to cut off. So it's a little bit more work than it needed to be. They could have formatted it for printing, and it would they could have made it better, but they didn't, and that's okay. The format, the ordering is more of an issue.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Yeah, because I thought it was by Battlefield Roll, except that it's not.
Not completely, anyway.
And also, Battlefield Roll doesn't exist anymore, Games Workshop.
Right.
So why would I want my stuff organized by that? So what I'm strongly considering, first of all, I'm gonna call, it's not Kinko's does. I don't even know if Kinko's exists anymore. I'm gonna call Staples.
Kinko's does.
Okay. I'm gonna see how much it's gonna cost to have every single book just printed out Like, just, is it even expensive? Not every book, but the books I play, and then I'm just going to alphabetize those damn bastards. I think that's the way that I want to approach this problem.
You could also wait like 3 weeks and just buy the cards.
I can. It's true. Is it 3 weeks? Is that what they said?
I don't know that they're going to be a release date, but they said soon thereafter. Release date is in 2 weeks. So I'm anticipating certainly by mid to end of July, we can have the actual GW printed ones in our hands. And as much as I love digital rules, and I'm certainly using all the digital rules, that is a thing that I will buy because old man Billy wants to have the cards in his hand, not use his phone or computer at the table.
Oh, yeah. And then you need the cards. You need to print these out, folks, because you're going to want to hand them to your opponent when they ask what something does, rather than answering 37 questions.
Or handing your phone over and over and over again.
Nobody gets to touch my phone. That's not a thing. I don't trust you. You're first of all, you're probably gross and smell bad. Second of all, you're going to drop my phone. No, I'm just kidding. Bill, fictitiously famous says, Billy, don't be mean. I only have 8 obliterators.
I can't help you with that other than to say they're one of the easiest kit bash models in the game. Make yourself a 9th.
It's fair. Okay, so even with the grievances having been aired, I'm unbelievably excited.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care if the game's imbalanced because that's the secret cap. It's always imbalanced.
Yeah.
I don't care. I just don't. Some things are going to be too good. One of them is going to be Eldar. I'm going to take Eldar to a tournament, and people are going to bitch about how powerful it is, and I'm going to say, sorry, whatever. It's a tournament. Some things are going to be too strong. It will not just be Eldar, which is what the internet is saying. The Space Marine rules look crazy.
Yeah.
Deathwatch look insane.
Yeah.
Okay. So it will not just be Eldar, I promise. What were you going to say, Billy?
I was just going to add that I also think Black Templars look insane, and Ultramarines can do some very disgusting things. But the real point that I wanted to make, because I was able to listen to Best in Faction this week, Chuck made a really good point about RTTs, and I would expand it to all events for the first month. Treat it as 3 or 6 or 5 scheduled games. Don't treat this as something where you really care about winning or losing, because so much of the agency that you have in that normally is removed right now. Treat it as an opportunity to play a fun game and learn with scheduled games.
That is one approach.
Or
you can do what I'm going to do, where I'm going to the Tacoma Open in July, no matter what I have to do. If I have to sneak out under cover of darkness to be there, I will do it. Which is hard right now because in the Pacific Northwest it's sunny till midnight now.
Yeah.
More like 11, but yeah, it's light out, real light. We must be coming up on the longest day of the year. Actually, I think it's normally the 18th of June or something.
20th or 22nd.
22nd, something like that. Yeah. I am going to look at what's broken, and I'm going to make a list that tries to counter those things, and then I'm going to outplay everybody else. That's what I'm going to do. I would like to be in the top bracket for the Tacoma Open. After that, I don't care if I lose all of my games.
Yeah.
I would like to be in the top bracket. That's what I'm excited about. So I will take some broken Eldar list, and you will listen to the podcast, and you'll go, ugh, and I'll say, hey, it's what's legal. So
you on.
Yes, exactly right. So what's next, Billy?
So we've alluded to a lot of things here. I would like to just really quickly, because I know I'm way more online in 40K than most people, and nominally this is a show about the news. I would like to just really quickly run through each of what I see are the main pieces of the discourse. What are the main things people are talking about? So after you've listened to the show, you actually know at least how Colin and Billy define it and what we think about it. Does that make sense?
I only heard half of that because my computer broke up.
There are, to my knowledge, 5 or 6 things in the discourse that people are talking about. We've alluded to it sort of casually thus far.
Sure,
Let's just get into each one so people know what it is.
Yeah, and to keep with the theme of the show, I'll click this button over here.
What's new?
I liked it in the preview in the thing at the bottom of the screen that shows me that Billy is alive. It's just the very top of his head.
It's
only taking the middle third of his phone image, and it's just the top, his forehead moving back and forth as he sways. All right, Billy, I'm ready to talk. I'm ready for discourse.
okay. So the first thing that came out, Hellstorm Mikey, pillar of the UK community, seems to be a nice guy. YouTube channel. He put out 3 ways that the terrain rules are silly and broken. And let me just talk about them quickly. Go to his YouTube if you want to see a more detailed breakdown. If you have a unit where 4 models can see the target and 1 can't, the unit receiving shots gets cover from all of those shots. It's probably not intended in the rules, but it's a thing.
Yeah.
I think that's worth knowing.
Yep.
Another piece of those terrain oddities.
By the way,
Yeah.
I'm going to play that as the unit in cover, the guys in cover have to die first.
Well, no, because here's the thing. The whole unit is in cover because the attacking unit, the totality of that unit cannot see the target unit.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So the entire unit gets cover because the attacking unit can't see. In
Good
totality.
news. Like 40% of the guns in the game ignore cover. It's not that bad, but there's a lot of ignore cover in the rules right now.
It's an oddity of the rules. They can fix that if they want to. There's another thing where if you have a big enough base that your base cannot completely be inside of the area terrain, you can't see out of it. Because
you're not in it.
Right. But you're also not out of it. It basically, for your dreadnoughts, don't be inside and outside of terrain.
So the reason why, so this I think is easy. I think this one is straightforward. You can't tow into terrain anymore. They make that very clear in the rules. So you can't do the thing where your Marines move to the other side of the wall and they touch their heels to the wall and now they're all in cover. You can't do that anymore. In order to be in cover, your entire model has to be within the cover. The way I think this works is if any portion of your model doesn't make it in, you're not in cover. You're not in the terrain. That's what I think. That's what I think is rules as intended. We'll find out in the designer's commentary, but that's how I'm going to play it to get rolling.
Yeah. So those were the 2 main things with terrain that he brought up. There was also something weird with that you can't actually overwatch if you're the target of a charge because you do the shooting once the other unit is within engagement range of you. So unless you have pistols, you actually can't overwatch if you're the target. Again, that I would anticipate getting fixed. But there was lots of digital ink spilled about these points. It's worthwhile to be aware that these are some of the oddities in the rules that people have found. I think that's just important to know.
Yep.
All right. The next thing that's important to know is let's go a little bit more in depth on Deathwatch doing an obscene amount of mortal wounds, just so people know how it works.
And while you do that, Billy, I've got a little bit of a problem here at the house. I'll be back in a minute.
All right. Because Colin knows that one better, I'm going to jump to one I know better, and then we'll return. Another one that's worth knowing is that it is possible for a Black Templar Primaris Crusader unit to do 54 wounds to any target on the hit roll. They have an ability to get lethal hits. They have an ability to get crit to hit on 5+, and they have an ability to reroll all of their hits. Normally, that's just good. Colin, I jumped ahead to one I knew better. We'll go back to the Deathwatch one. I'm talking about Black Templar right now.
Okay.
So the combination of lethal hits, crits on 5s, and rerolls is good. When you look at the Primaris Crusader datasheet, their chainswords have 5 attacks apiece. And in theory, they can take 19 of those guys in a unit, which is 95 dice, which is something normally only orcs can dream of doing. When you have rerollable 5s, the conversion rate is 55%. That means 55% of those 95 dice are going to wound. And then there will be wound rolls, etc. from there. that actually doesn't take anything but data sheets and Oath of Moment. So it's all free stuff that unit can just do. Now, are you going to get all 20 guys into combat at once with one target? Probably not. Are they all going to live to get there? Probably not.
Do they have AP?
They can get up to AP3.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's 55 wounds with AP3 on the hit roll, and then depending on what you've done, more wounds on the wound roll.
Yeah.
That is a thing to be aware of that Black Templar can do.
Yeah.
Now,
and by the way, that isn't as egregious as the Death Watch thing, and here's why.
Yeah.
It is very normal in 40K to have a close combat unit that murders anything it touches. That is not even a little bit unusual. I have no problem, provided they're pointed correctly.
Yeah.
I have no problem with this 20-man unit that has 1 million attacks. I'm not bothered by that. Because they're going to get to combat, they're going to kill one thing, and then you're going to shoot at them. And the problem with being a 20-man unit now is every blast gun in the game gets +4 shots against you.
Yeah.
So that 20-man Templar unit is going to be a target, and it's going to get shot while it tries to get to combat. So I'm not saying that makes it okay, but I'm telling you that as someone who's played a lot of 40K, hundreds and hundreds of tournament games, I'm okay with things existing, provided they're pointed correctly, like the Emperor's Children Terminator brick, right?
Mm.
What was that going to touch that wasn't going to die? A knight? Like, there were a couple things, but in general, if that knight unit got to you, or if that Terminator unit got to you, you were done.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with that. It is silly. I want to acknowledge that, but I'm fine with it.
Yeah. Do you want to walk through the Death Watch thing really quickly?
Basically, they have the ability to hand out multiple buffs to multiple units at the same time, and the core issue is you can give them devastating wounds and 2-up anti-infantry at the same time.
Right. Well, let's just really quickly walk through it, because I think, at least for me, when people tell me that, I'm like, cool, how does it work? Knowing how it works is helpful. So there's a strat.
So there's a strat, and you can put it, and it targets 2 targets.
Right.
Okay?
1 strat, 2 targets.
Yes. And then you have a character that says, I can use that strat even if it's already been used.
Right.
And what's being told to us by the people that are coming out of NDA, what I'm hearing from those people is that when a strat gets triggered, and by the way, that character says, but that strat can only be used on this unit. What we're being told is when that happens, the rest of the strat still goes off.
Right.
So that character gives you 2 more people with anti-infantry 2-up, rather than just 1. And then, by the way, there's another character that also does that, and now you're at 6.
Right.
The other thing that's being talked about is, can you literally do that during Overwatch?
Mm. Oh, so just
that,
Overwatch with 3 things?
Or no, but Overwatch with, just Overwatch with anti-infantry 2-up mortal wounds.
Yeah. So just as Colin did his here's why he's okay with the Black Templar thing, here's broadly why I'm okay. I actually think I'm okay with this. Infantry in the open that can be seen dies. I mean, you might have to trick a little bit.
Hold on. I got my 2 points all mixed up here. Devastating wounds don't work with oh yes, they do. I'm sorry. I was overthinking something. Yes. So let me just finish the one thought that I don't think we filled in. Mm-hmm. Because anti does crits, that means that any 2-up is a crit, and they do mortals.
Right.
And there's no limit to how many mortals they can do. So they just vomit mortals on things, and those things die. You want a unit of 10 Terminators to die, it just dies. It's just dead. And by the way, it's dead to like 1 or 2 squads. You don't need 5 or 6.
Right.
So the problem here is that their entire army can go through walls at quick movement and show up next to you and shoot all of your things with mortal wounds in the same turn. Everything in your army that they can see gets shot with mortal wounds in the same turn. This cannot possibly be by design. So go ahead, Billy.
No, it can't be by design, and I'm sure it will get toned down significantly. Broadly, infantry that can be seen is going to die.
Yep.
This just takes it from most of it probably to all of it for sure. And that's a big difference. But it's infantry that can be seen. And as we're going to talk about in the next one, infantry that's just on the board is going to die. So let's talk about the next one, which is Ultramarine Desolators.
Okay.
Oh boy, Angry Baby. 1 second. 1 sec.
All right, so you can take a 10-man unit of Desolators. And the problem with the Space Marine rules is that Oath of Moment exists.
Yep.
So you can say on the first turn of the game, I am angry at that unit. That unit said bad things about our parents on the way into battle. We're very upset with them. We have taken an oath to murder their faces. And so now you have a 10-man unit of Desolators that's rerolling hits and wins.
Right.
Now, what are you doing to them, Billy?
So you're also putting an enhancement on a character that you're attaching to them. That character is probably a librarian who's giving them a 4-up invul. The enhancement
For feel no pain against mortals, right? Not an invul?
Something against mortals, but also just, well, I guess with Death Watch that's relevant. But when I was looking at it, it's just the 4-up invul.
Okay.
The enhancement is that they get sustaining hits and crit on 5s. You know how we talked about in the Black Templar, that 5s with rerolls is a 55% conversion. They're gonna hit basically with full rerolls and sustaining hits 5s. They hit out of line of sight with 120% of the shots that they fire. You can also they ignore cover on the indirect, and you can give them AP in a variety of ways. And this only works when they're in Devastator Doctrine, but you can put them into Devastator Doctrine every turn.
Yep.
So every turn, especially with Ultramarines, assuming you take Bobby, so you can oath 2 things, you have this squad that just sits out of line of sight until it pops out and shoots its super cracks. That's going to hit 30 to 50 times out of line of sight with rerollable strength 4, AP 1 or 2 ignore cover weapons. That infantry, and that's at long range, 36 to 48 inches.
And they made the weapons heavy, so that you get +1 to hit with them if you don't move.
Right.
Which indirect fire typically doesn't do.
Right.
The whole thing is cracked. It's not okay. It's dumb, and it's part of the core issue around indirect fire more than it is about Desolation Marines.
Yes.
Because what we're actually going to find is that you're not going to put Oath of Moment unless you have Bobby G. You're not going to put Oath of Moment on the thing you're shooting indirect fire at most of the time.
Right.
So
the next thing was any quick hits from Chaos. I went through the Demons book as quickly as I could. I saw nothing absolutely broken. My friend went through the CSM book. The only thing that he found that was worth talking about was that Obliterators can indirect fire once a game, which is just funny to me. Was there anything in NIDS that you looked at that was just, I mean, I know you have the 300 wounds, 6++, 6++++, -1 to hit. Thoughts?
Yeah, but we don't know about that. We haven't seen points.
Okay.
So we don't know if the 300, it looks like NIDS are going to be able to put out a million little Gribblies and bring some back and grow. It seems like there's going to be a lot of that, and they're going to be in stealth. They're going to be stealthed, so -1 to be hit, 6-up invul, 6-up feel no pain, and you can give them a 5-up feel no pain for a strat. So real good. Always in cover too. So all the defensive buffs can be put in auras on all your Gribblies. That's not going to matter against Deathwatch, but it's still neat. Other than that, there's the Tyranid book is neat. The Hive Guard continue to be weird. There are some real punchy things. There's not a lot of good shooting. T-Fex pricing matters a lot because it's like one of the giant anti-tank things that they have. But yeah, my favorite thing is Old One Eye and a unit of Carnifexes.
Yeah,
that's my favorite. That's my favorite thing. That's probably going to be really expensive, but man, Old One Eye slaps. And having a friend with him, the friends are hilarious. The friends are like, I have 3 different kinds of weapons with each of them a number of different attacks and stats. Here I go, I'm fighting. Like it's bizarre. The Carnifex, like the default Carnifex that you can build, has like multiple guns and multiple different types of close combat attacks, which is fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was basically my points matters a lot. I was pretty whelmed by the Broodlord, which made me sad. I love him. I think that the Walking Tyrant is almost certainly the best one. Sadly, Swarmy, unless Swarmy is cheaper or something than the Walking Tyrant. The Walking Tyrant has an aura of advance and shoot, and that's just so important in a NIDS army.
Yeah.
Zone Throbs shoot like crazy, but they move 5 and they shoot 24.
Right.
So adding D6 to that, and remember, assault weapons don't penalize you to hit.
Right. Big change.
So yeah, big change. So the ability to kind of launch those zone threats farther forward is a big deal. Termagant shoot, they care. Barb Gaunts shoot crazy, they care. So this and gargoyles, right, that have fire and fade built into their data sheet, advancing them so they go 12 plus D6, shoot a thing, and then move into the way of something to move block it. Like there's a lot there. It's a really, really neat rule set. I was very thrilled with it. Obviously points matter, but I loved how different it was than Space Marines. I loved seeing the variety in army design. I think those two armies being first was a really great example of what's happening.
Yeah. Because NIDS do feel like they're being pushed in a direction that's very, because like one of the best 9th edition NIDS lists, to my mind, sort of felt similar to what a Marines list looked like a bunch of heavy infantry that's hard to kill that hits really hard. Well, that could be describing a Marine army, but it was the NIDS. If they don't look like that, that's fun. So that's something that, as we're building lists and just, spitballing, because we don't know points, they're looking more like real armies. They're looking more like what little Jimmy's first, I'm 10 years old, I picked up a book, I built an army. He's going to be a lot closer to right than I think he's ever been in the history of 40K, because you want to take bunches of different things.
Yep. Variety is going to be the spice of life here, because all of the units have different special abilities on them, and you're going to want the toolkit. So some of the special abilities are written incorrectly, like Thunderfire cannons, who all get to do their special ability in the same turn. But there's lots of units that have it written where it's like, no matter how many Farseers you have, you can change one die to a 6.
Yeah.
And I think that stuff like that is going to encourage people to have a lot of different variety of units, so they have all the tools, and I think that's great. I'm excited about that.
One other thing I wanted to touch on really quickly, in terms of evaluating things, because it really came up for me when I was looking at the different flavors of Space Marines, is we're going to have to get used to evaluating what characters go with my unit and what units do my characters go with. And for me, this was the biggest place it came up was Blood Angels, because I was looking at their characters. I'm like, these characters are amazing. I think, Mephiston would be awesome. And then he goes with like Tactical Marines. And you're like, oh, okay, that's a total mismatch of character.
That feels bad.
Yeah. The Space Wolf ones weren't much better. Dark Angels started to be. I completely don't understand Deathwatch, so I have no way of evaluating it. And the Black Templar ones, one of the reasons that I'm going to be a Black Templar player probably at the start is that all of them go in the right units. And the units want everything they have to give them. And that's just to my mind, a completely new way of thinking about things that is going to be important.
You were unfair. To Dark Angels there.
Okay.
Dark Angels characters go in their units just fine. Dark Angels look cool. The Vengeance Speeder, its ability to be like, oh, you shot at me, I'm going to shoot back at you, is incredible. What?
And Fluffy, it's vengeance. I'm angry.
Yeah, exactly. I'm angry at you. Exactly right. The Death Knights that nobody ever plays with look really strong. 4 wounds apiece, guys. Let's roll. Let's go.
Yeah.
So yeah, they look tanky. They look like they have good weapons. I think Dark Angels are going to be quite strong. I'm really excited about them. I think the Space Wolf rules are a little bit of a disappointment. I thought the Blood Angel rules were a little bit of a mess. I didn't think they were written very cohesively.
Yeah.
They seem like they're kind of buffs and things all over the place. And if you can't put Mephiston on anything but Tactical Marines, meh.
I think you could also be like with Devastators and assault Marines without jump packs.
Yeah, I'm just realizing that I didn't read Black Templars, so I'm gonna have to do that today.
Black Templars look really good, is what I would say. And just talking various places to look. I think Art of War has been doing wonderful faction reviews. I stopped in during their Black Templar one and was, active in the chat. And, you can watch some people who know things and the way they respond to it. There was some, like serious O's. So yeah, take a look. They're fun.
Okay. So today we have chaos.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's probably more than the Marine drop, which was huge.
Yeah.
So I'm going to look through it. I don't know chaos particularly well, so this one's harder for me. Chuck said the first thing he's going to do is look at Vashtor. So the first thing I'm going to do is go look at Vashtor.
I have it up. Let's look at Vashtor right now.
Okay.
I have to find them. Oh my God, you can take Beastmen now? You can take Felgor Beastmen in Chaos.
I think you've been able to take Beastmen for a while.
Really? Okay.
I think so.
Now to Colin's point of this, here's Vashtor. All right, Vashtor's move 12, tough 9, 2+, save, 14 wounds, leadership 6, OC 3. His ranged weapon is range 12 flamer. It's a heavy flamer. He has anti-vehicle devastating wounds on his strike ability and just anti-vehicle on his sweep. He adds 1 to the strength of vehicle units within 6. And he debuffs a vehicle within 18 by -half move and -1 attack to melee.
Does he go in a unit, or he's like a big monster, right?
He's a big monster.
Okay. That didn't sound too exciting, but points matter.
Yeah. I think people who want to play Vashtor just want to play Vashtor almost regardless. +1 strength as an aura for demon vehicles might be interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of their weapons keep up their strength.
One of the messages I got this morning is that Soul Grinders had a big glow up.
Soul Grinders are amazing.
Yeah.
Apparently. And they picked some of the biggest, because I don't know how many people have actually seen a Soul Grinder in person. They're the biggest damn footprint that GW has ever made. So just moving them anywhere is impossible. But now that you can move through all of your infantry, and they have a rule that if it's 4 inches or shorter, terrain or vehicles, they can walk over it too. They're going to be scuttling wherever they need to go a lot more easily.
So one of the issues with the Soul Grinder is that it didn't have a base.
Right.
And so then they said it has to have a base. And Chuck put it on a base that he thought was appropriate because they were being unclear. And then they said, no, put it on the dinner plate.
Yeah.
So now they're huge. They have the largest base in the game for some reason. So I'm hoping that they pivoted from a thing you take 3 of to a thing you take 1 of because of the footprint. So we'll see.
Yeah. No, they actually, their data sheet looks quite solid.
Okay.
And Vashtor just says demon vehicle. I believe they are a demon that is a vehicle. So
okay.
Vashtor and Forge and Soul Grinders.
Robert Saxon Naj Robert, with a cool picture of a cat, says Beastmen are new in CSM. Only the Zangor's in Zinch before in 40K. Yeah. Okay, my bad.
Yeah. So it's just
thank you, Robert.
Age of Sigmar Beastmen.
My older brother is 5 years older than me, named Robert. So being corrected by someone named Robert's very nostalgic for me. I was corrected a lot by a person named Robert growing up. Anyways, Billy, go ahead.
So unless people have like random chaos data sheets they want us to find and read, I don't have a lot of new information.
They can do that themselves.
Yes. Well, they could get our very reasoned and mildly expert takes on them. That's
true. They could. Z-level internet celebrities do have all of the knowledge.
I'm a C-level internet celebrity?
No, Z.
Oh, Z. Yeah.
We're as far down the list as we possibly can be.
All 8-bound scouting for World Eaters is nuts, as Fictitiously Famous points out. That's really good.
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right. If we have nothing else, I have a baby that wants to have things come in and get wiped at the out.
You know what? You do that, and I'm going to talk for the last 8 minutes.
Okay. I will leave it on and rejoin you if I can.
Okay. Bye, Billy.
Bye.
He's Billy. I'm Colin. Okay. So here's what's going on with me. I am hype. So I'm starting a new job on Tuesday. I've been unemployed for a few months as part of the tech layoffs. And someone is hiring me to build a sales department in an industry that I know super well. I'm really excited about that. It's going to be a super good opportunity for me. It's going to allow me to take some stuff I learned at my last job and kind of apply it. And it's going to be really fun. In the meantime, I'm going to fill my week with as much 40K as I can. So on Thursday, so first of all, tomorrow we get Imperium rules, which for Colin means look at guard. I've been playing guard a really long time. I have a massive guard collection. I need to know what they look like. So guard for sure is exciting to me tomorrow. I also am really excited about the traits for Grey Knights. I've always wanted to be a Grey Knight player. So we're going to have Grey Knights tomorrow as well. I'm really excited to read their rules. I thought they were a Marine. Their people look like Marines. I was surprised that they were not on Marine Day, but they were not. So I presume they're tomorrow with the rest of Imperium. I've never cared a lot about Sisters. I've played them quite a bit. They're neat, but they're not my favorite. I don't know who else is going to be in the Imperium Day off the top of my head. Custodes, Knights, I presume, because Chaos Knights were with Chaos. So yeah, lots of neat stuff tomorrow. And then Thursday is Colin Day, for those that are wondering, because Thursday is is all of Xenos, which I play a lot of. Craftworld Eldar, Drukhari, Harlequins will probably be part of CWE, and also Genestealer Cult. So those are all things that I play. I'm excited to see all of them. Also, I'm a big orc lover. I like I like them to be good. I think they make the game better. I love their models. I love their lore. I love their theme. I just don't have the army. So I will absolutely read all of the orc rules. So I'm pretty excited about that. Then Friday morning, we get points and missions. My buddy Zach is coming up at that point. We're going to make a bunch of lists. And then noon on Friday, my friends start arriving. I have 7 people coming over. They're coming and going. Some of them are local. Some are farther away. Everybody's local, but some are hours away, so they're gonna crash here. We're gonna play a couple games on Friday. Then we're gonna play a game Saturday morning. Then at 1:00 on Saturday, I'm gonna play Chuck on a live stream, and we're gonna play 10th edition, obviously. Chuck and I always play the first stream game of New Rules. That's just the way it is. We're going to do a great job. It's going to be really fun. If you are a Patreon of us and you're in our Discord, or a YouTube subscriber and you're in our Discord, you're going to get to vote on what armies we're going to play. So I'm going to put on Friday, I'll put 3 lists up into the Discord. You guys, the fans will pick one and we'll be off. So that's going to be 1:00 on Saturday. I need to get the TNG guys organized. They're going to do a stream that night, hopefully. Then Sunday, I'm going to play more 40K. Then Monday, I'm going to take a day and I'm just going to chill out. I'm just going to relax, play the weekend of 40K, new job on Tuesday. The following weekend, we're also playing 40K. And then immediately after that, we're going to do a station-wide, every single member of Best in Tabletop. The TNG guys, Hank, Billy, Colin, Noah, and Joe from Best Overall, which they're just flipping killing it. What a good show for the 3rd episode. Wow. They're back Thursday, by the way, with Kaz, who is a local amazing hobbyist and wonderful person. He's going to do a great job. That's on Thursday. So we're going to do basically a thing where we just talk through 40K 10th edition and what we learned and what we've seen, and we'll do that as a network. So we've got that coming up. I am excited. I really am. I got to start prepping for the Tacoma Open in July, but first I have to learn the edition. And learning the edition for Colin means a lot of different armies. I'm anticipating playing. I'm going to try to focus on 3 different factions for the first weekend, just for the sake of my sanity. One will certainly be Craftworld Eldar. The second one will be, I'm hoping, Drukhari, but I haven't seen the rules yet. And then the third is going to be Tyranids. I'm excited about the Tyranid rules. I'm also excited about the Genestealer Cult trait. I think it's a really neat way to handle a fragile army that doesn't really have any durability in their rules typically. I think that a really good way to handle that is to let their kind of Gribblies come back, their basic dudes. So I'm excited to see that as well. I'm not going to focus on Space Marines right away because lots of my friends are. But if I were focusing on Space Marines, it'd probably be Ultramarines. They seem to be the most balanced and have the biggest toolkit because I don't want to play Death Watch and I don't really want to play Dark Angels, but maybe I would play Dark Angels. I don't know. Okay. So Robert says he wants to see Necrons as well. I always am interested in what Necrons are doing. I used to have a massive Necron collection. In fact, I have a tournament one with Necrons under my belt. In my pocket. I don't know where it's at. Yeah, so let's see here. Yeah, Necron's super dope. I'm excited about that. I don't care about night rules. Other people care about night rules. It's not my job to care about them. Sorry, night players. I've made my opinion clear on that. What else am I excited about that we haven't seen yet? I'm a little bit excited about Votann. Chuck has a really pretty Votann army I'd like to see on the table. I'd like Tau to be bad. Sorry, Tau players. I don't really want Tau to be bad, but I don't want Tau to be good in the way that they're sometimes good, where they just, well, we brought better math than you. Sorry. Like, I don't love that. Okay. So I think with that, we're going to wrap it up. He's Billy, but he's not here right now, and I'm Colin because someone has to be. We appreciate all of you for joining us next Tuesday. Next Tuesday is very, very exciting because that's going to be This Week in 40K. After Colin has spent his entire weekend playing 10th edition 40K. So that should be really, really interesting. And I think Billy's first game is actually tomorrow night. So it's exciting. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I'm Colin because someone has to be. And we'll be back next week, Tuesday at 7 a.m. Pacific, like we always are. Have fun, guys. Roll dice, stay positive, be nice to your friends, and learn some 40K. We'll talk to you all later.